Hey everyone, we're back for part 2 of our simple and effective balance exercises that you can do at home, again, to improve your balance and reduce likelihood of having a fall. So these exercises are part 2, like I mentioned. Part 1, if you didn't see that, was a little bit easier exercises. So if you've checked those out and you're making good progress with those, that's awesome. You can either progress to these ones or just kind of add them in. And I'm going to show you different ways to make them easier and harder depending on what your comfort level is. So just building off of part 1, again, I just want to throw it out there. The goal with your balance exercises is to safely improve your balance without experiencing a fall in the process. So I know it sounds kind of stupid, maybe too basic, but I do want to throw that out there. You really have to be careful at home when you're trying to improve your balance because you want to challenge it, but you don't want to risk having a fall. So having a firm countertop is a great thing to do. I'm going to kind of face you guys for the video just to demonstrate the exercises, but that's why I'm here in the kitchen at home making videos instead of in the clinic, is just to reiterate that you want a safe countertop or a dresser, something you can hold on to. So with part 2 then, we're going to do some different exercises with what we call a tandem stance, which is basically putting one foot in front of the other. And we're going to use a firm surface like we did in part 1, and we're also going to use a squishy pad again. So this is like a piece of dense foam. The one that I like to use for clients in the clinic and for at home is called an AirX pad. I'll link the actual product in the description below. But I like this one over some of the other ones you can get online. They're a little cheaper just because it's a nice squishy piece of foam, so it really can challenge your balance versus some of the more dense foam, which isn't quite as challenging. If you don't have foam, you can always use a pillow or a couch cushion, something like that that's squishy. So we'll start without the foam first, and we're going to do, again, tandem stance, which basically means, if you just want to look at my feet here, tandem stance just means you're putting one foot in front of the other. So let me show you from the side too. That's tandem. Okay, now the first exercise then would just be trying to maintain tandem stance on a firm surface. So a firm surface like my kitchen floor here, you could do like a real dense piece of carpet. So you just have one foot in front of the other and you're just trying to keep your eyes open and maintain balance. Now what you'll notice is that tandem stance, what's difficult about it is that your base of support is real narrow. So you'll get a lot of side-to-side movement. Whereas in part 1, with your feet side by side, you're getting a lot of ankle movement in multiple directions. With tandem stance, what we're doing in part 2 here then, you're going to get a lot more hip motion. So a lot of folks who struggle with balance and with falls, they have weakness not only in their ankles, but especially in their hips and core. This is a really good way to work those hip and core muscles. So you're just doing tandem stance. Rule of thumb, try to hold it for 30 seconds. First, you're going to start with, let's say, your left foot forward. Work that for a while, and then switch to right foot forward and work that for a while. So that's tandem stance on a firm surface. Now, for some people, that position alone is going to be too challenging. It's too much work for your hips. You don't have enough ankle motion and ankle strength going on down there yet, even though you're doing some of the stuff from part 1. And so you may want to modify this one right off the bat. Now, to modify tandem stance then, if you look at my feet, instead of being straight in line front to back, all you're going to do is widen your stance a little bit. Even widening your stance by 2 or 3 inches is going to make this exercise significantly easier. So again, you want to try to find that sweet spot where you're challenging your balance, you're getting some movement, throughout your legs, throughout your ankles, throughout your hips, but you're not challenging it so much that you feel like you might fall. So that's the first one, tandem stance on a firm surface. So the second one, kind of the same pattern from part 1, is that we're going to do the same exercise but on a squishy surface. So this is where we're going to get our AirX pad out. Same thing. If you got big feet like me, you actually want to turn the pad kind of like at a diagonal. Go diagonal. If you got small feet, you don't need to do that. But again, now you're on a squishy surface in tandem stance. So if the first position was too easy, this is going to be a lot harder. Okay? Just realized I skipped something from the first one. Let's go back to the first one on the firm surface. We'll kick this pad out for just a second. Going back to the first one, so you figure out you're either tandem on the firm surface or you're a little bit split tandem. The second exercise is to close your eyes. Keep in mind when you close your eyes, it makes these exercises much more difficult. So even if you do really well with tandem stance on the first one, you may want to split your feet. on the second one where you try to close your eyes. It's a lot more difficult to work your balance. Essentially, when you close your eyes, you're really working your inner ear a lot more, which is super important, especially for older adults, to work the inner ear because you've removed your visual input. So it's very important to just make sure, again, that you hit that sweet spot where it's challenging your balance, but you're not going to fall over. So when in doubt, just kind of work backwards this way, split your feet just to make sure you can do it with your eyes closed. And if it's pretty easy, then go ahead and move your feet into the full, neutral alignment there with Tandem. Okay, so that's number 2. Number 3 then, back on the foam. Pardon the roundabout way here. Back on the foam, Tandem stance, easy modification if it's too hard. Split your feet a little bit, work it that way. If you can do those ones, exercise 4 then is the same thing with your eyes closed. So those are the 4 exercises. Tandem stance on a firm surface. Tandem stance on a firm surface with your eyes closed. Tandem stance on foam or a squishy cushion. Tandem stance on the foam with your eyes closed. And again, the easiest modification in there is just to split your feet apart to make it a little bit easier. Find that sweet spot. Okay, last thing I want to mention in part 2 before we go into part 3 is another similar way to modify these exercises like I mentioned in part 1, which is if you're having a hard time making that jump from any of these exercises with your eyes open to eyes closed, you can bridge that gap by, instead of doing eyes closed, is doing head turns. So look around the room as you're doing the exercise. It's not as challenging as closing your eyes and taking away the visual input, but it is more challenging because you're not able to focus your vision and your visual input on any specific object. So you can just do head turns, you can go side to side, you can go up and down, or if you want to make it a little more challenging still, you could turn your entire trunk as you turn your head. So the cue that I'll give clients in the clinic is I'll say look over your left shoulder as far as you can and just look. And I'll say go ahead and turn your whole trunk as you look. And then turn your whole trunk that way. So again, there's some easy, simple ways to modify these. The number 1 goal, again, challenge your balance to the point where your muscles and your body are having to work. You're straining a little bit, but you're not risking yourself falling over. If you can continue doing that, several times a week, you have a great shot at improving your balance. So I'm going to make one more video in this series for now. We're going to make part 3. I'll link that at the end of here. Please leave a comment or a question below the video. I always appreciate you liking the video and subscribing to the channel if you want to see more of this type of stuff. And then we're also about to launch at Gordon Physical Therapy virtual online balance courses. If you have any interest in those, go ahead and leave a comment below. At some point, if I have a link to share with that, I'll put it in the description of the video, so look for that. And again, I'll have the link to that RX pad if you want to use the same one that I'm using here. But again, you can use a piece of squishy foam, or you can use a cushion or a pillow. So again, thank you for watching. I'll be back with part 3 here soon, and we'll do our best to help you improve your balance. Thanks.